Okay, with God's help, the finale here. God's help with the finale here. What was the mistake? What was the mistake? We see here that the Torah teaches us to stay away from the wicked people. So why do our sages condemn Jacob? Two reasons, two amazing reasons. One is by Rav Shach, a blessed memory. Rav Shach writes the following. This is an amazing thing. The actions that were taken by Jacob were correct. To hide his daughter Dinah were correct. He did everything right, according to the Jewish law. Did everything right. So why is he condemned? Because, listen to this beautiful Rav Shach here. Rav Shach says that there should have been a thought, a painful thought in the heart of Jacob, that according to halacha I have to hide my daughter, because that's the proper way for a Jew to act, to keep away from the wicked people. But you know what? It hurts me. A thought should have went in Jacob's mind of hurt, of pain, of not being able to allow his daughter to be seen by a wicked person. It hurts me. I wish I could give her over, but it's too high of a price to pay. It's too dangerous. But that painful thought never entered Jacob's heart, and that's why he's condemned. His actions were 100%, but he still should have had a thought that I'm bothered. It bothers me that my brother is not repent. It bothers me that I'm not able to help. I'd like to help. That didn't enter Jacob's mind. Folks, you're still standing up. Second explanation is same principle here. That Jacob was halachically Torah right, 100% in what he did. The fact that he hid his daughter, 100% he was right. So where did he go wrong? The Torah tells us that he locked his daughter up in a suitcase or a carrier, container, trunk. Why does the Torah tell us that he hid his daughter? What is this locking? So, one of the great Musar giants, Rav Simcha Zissel Mikelm, he says, the Torah doesn't for nothing tell us, who cares? He locked her up. No. The Torah tells us for a reason. You did what was right, Jacob. But the way that he did it, it was missing tender loving care. There was something here, a lack of heart. And the Torah teaches us by telling us that he locked her up. He didn't need to lock her up. There was no problem. If she would have stayed unseen, no one would have seen her. There's an extra arm by Jacob. It's too much. It's too much, Jacob. It's overboard. What you did was overboard. Okay, hide her, you're 100% correct. Make sure she's not seen, 100%. But the Torah is teaching us, our sages are teaching us by the words, and he locked her up, that there was a lack of sensitivity here for the spiritual well-being of his brother. Okay, what's the halacha? What's the halacha? We have a question here that was asked by the chief rabbi of Tel Aviv. In a book called Aseh Lecha Rav, Make Yourself a Rabbi, in question 62. A girl asks a question, a father of a girl asks a question. My daughter now is dating in Israel. She is dating a secular fellow. Is this correct to encourage such a union? Should I be encouraging my daughter or discouraging? Now the father doesn't just leave it like that. He brings in proof. Where's his proof that this is the right thing to do? Sure enough, or they say show enough, as they said in my neighborhood, I don't know about yours, Len, but in my neighborhood they said, "Sure enough." Sure enough, what do we see? He quotes that Jacob was punished because of the fact that he hid his daughter. So we see, according to the Torah, that it's not a proper thing to hide a righteous daughter from a secular fellow. That was in conclusion. Can you imagine that? He's bringing this down and he's putting it right down on the table, man. The cards are on the table. Okay. It seems to me the father is saying that I'm doing the right thing. I should be encouraging my daughter to keep on dating this secular fellow. Because of, look, Jacob was condemned, the fact that he hid his daughter. And she could have influenced him for the better. My daughter also. Maybe she'll be able to influence. He says, no way, Ray. Number one, he says the following, that there's a halachic principle. If we ever have words of the sages, of the Midrash, that oppose the words of halacha, what takes precedence? Of course, the words of halacha. The sages are trying to tell us ideas. They're not telling us necessarily halacha, Jewish law. So therefore, if there's a Jewish law that tells us in a million places, for example, it says in the Code of Jewish Law, it's written down there in 21, in chapter 21. It says there that a person should spend all of his money to try to find a righteous person for their son or for their daughter, and stay away from wicked people. This is a Jewish law. Everything about Judaism, as we know, is to stay away from the wicked people. So, I mean, it's simple. It's all over the place. So therefore, he says, number one, if there's a dispute between halacha, Jewish law, and a verse, a sentence of the sages, there's no question here. The Jewish law pertains. That's number one. And number two, he says, listen, there's a big difference. Spiritually, you're not Jacob, and you ain't Dinah, and your daughter's not Dinah. We have to understand, folks. There's a lot of stuff spiritually that's going on here behind closed doors. There's a lot of spiritual stuff that's going on here. I'm going to give it over quickly. Listen closely. Abraham's parents, his father's name was Terach, his mom's name was Amtelai bat Karnevo. Now, when she became pregnant with Abraham, she was in the middle of her menstrual period. Therefore, Abraham was born in halachic, in Jewish law terms. Parents, of course, were not Jewish, but according to Jewish law, he was born a ben nidah, which is a tremendous blemish. Parents that have relations during the menstrual period of a woman causes tremendous spiritual damage to their children. Okay, so now, where does this spiritual damage, where does this spiritual garbage, where does it funnel into? You got it. It funnels into Abraham. So Abraham is weighed down by this spiritual garbage that was brought down from his mother. His mother had relations with her husband during the time when even at this time people stayed away from that. She had relations, and therefore there's this impurity, and it's all in Abraham. So what happens? Abraham gets married. First he has a child with Hagar. Why is that? You ever think about it? Well, the commentators tell us very simply, because Abraham had this baggage, this impure baggage, and he knew that it should go to bad people. So where did it go to? It went to Ishmael. It went on the side of Ishmael, this impurity. Okay, but however, some of it still stayed over into Isaac, Abraham's other son. So most of the impurity went to Ishmael, Abraham's first son. Second, Isaac took a little bit. Now Isaac, he has children. Where did this impurity go to? It went to Esau. This menstrual impurity goes to Esau. Okay, got it? So now the Arizal tells us an amazing thing. Who is Dinah? Who is Dinah? Dinah is a Gilgul, is a reincarnation, is a reincarnation of Abraham's mother. Abraham's mother brought this spiritual impurity of this spiritual menstrual impurity into the world. Now, okay, what was the plan? What was God's master spiritual plan here? This is before the Torah is given. You have to understand, when we're talking about before the Torah is given, there's different rules. It's not the rules of today. Today you have a wicked person, stay away from them. You're not going to give your daughter, you're not going to give over your son. We have rules. There are special people in the world that are able to deal. It depends, of course, what type of wicked people you're dealing with. Not every wicked person. There are many people that are considered to be not going against the Torah. I wouldn't call them wicked people. They're people that are unfamiliar, people that are unknowledgeable. But they could be affected. We're talking about certain groups of people. You want to stay away from them. And not everyone is the right guy or the right person to go out to the streets. Many people, if they go out to the streets, they'll be influenced. Instead of helping out others, they'll become wicked people. So you always have to look and understand that there's, before the Torah was given, there's a lot of spiritual movement that's happening here. So let's just finish the idea. So according to spirituality, according to the Arizal, what should have happened here is that we have Dinah, who is a reincarnation of Amtalai, Abraham's mother. So she has, if you look at the word Dinah and you turn the letters around, that's an unbelievable Arizal. The Arizal said, turn the words around. It comes out to menstrual impurity. Nida, the letters Dinah, the name Dinah. When you switch the letters around, it becomes menstrual impurity. So that she had to get rid of that. Esav, we said, still had Abraham gave it over to Ishmael, but a little bit got to Isaac. Isaac had a little bit left. He gave it over to Esav. Now, what was the plan? The plan should have been spiritually that these two get together, that Dinah marries Esav, and they have relations, kosher relations, and therefore all the impurity of Dinah, which is the menstrual impurity, will go onto Esav. All that spiritual impurity will go on the head of Esav. That was the idea, to clean off Dinah and to get all that spiritual impurity on the head of Esav, to where it belongs, not on the head of Dinah where it doesn't belong. So therefore, that was the idea. So what happens? So it didn't work out that way. So who comes? Shechem. Okay, who's Shechem? Okay, who's Shechem? Shechem is all the impurity of Dinah goes onto the head of Shechem, which means what was supposed to be taken, the spiritual impurity that was supposed to be taken by Esav, was eventually taken by Shechem. Was eventually taken by Shechem, and Dinah became pure after she was raped by Shechem. All her impurity from the reincarnation of the mother of Abraham went onto her. So therefore, we always have to ask ourselves, okay, who am I? Is my job, is my tafkid to go out and influence people? Am I able to do that? Am I influenced by other people? Or is it too dangerous? Person has to know who they are. Number one, it's not for everybody. It's not for most people. Most people just, stay at home. Try to strengthen yourself at home. It's not your job. There's only a few people that it's their job. Number two, always look at who are we talking about. There's certain people you should stay away from. There's nothing to talk about. They're real losers. They're real wicked. There are people, many people, that are not wicked, and they just don't know. And if we talk to them, you could see that they're listening, they're willing to be influenced. These people should be approached. And number three, we also have to realize this is before the giving of the Torah. There are a lot of things that are happening that people understood that there was a spiritual benefit to it, even though it might have gone against Jewish halacha later on. ages, centuries later, it didn't matter. At this time it was okay, because this was before the giving of the Torah. There were certain spiritual corrections that were being behind the scenes that need to be done.
When the Kuzu talks about another book, like there's a sinun, right? There's filter. That's the sinun you talk about. That's right.
Part of the sinun was that impurity was supposed to go on the heads of Ishmael and